Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is a lap guide for the new lap time challenge taking place at Willow Springs Big Willow with any Group 4 car, and for this guide I'll be using the Alfa Romeo 4C. So this lap time challenge is over in sport mode, so make sure you have menu book number 9 completed so you can access the online time trials. So go ahead and click on online time trials, which is towards the middle of the screen, and you'll see the current lap time challenges being held. This specific lap time challenge goes on until the end of April 30th, 2025, where we are on mid-speed BOP. You can use any Group 4 car, and we're on the racing hard tires. Your goal is to get within the 3% time range of the world record time when the event ends, as that is when your lap time gets counted, and hopefully you'll be able to get to 2 million credits. I'll have my in-game replay in the description down below if you want to check that out, but let's go ahead and get started with the lap guide, where with the Alfa Romeo 4C Group 4, you want to rev the living heck out of it. So you're using every single rev that you can find with this car before shifting up, and you never have to use 6th gear with this truck and car combination. So go ahead and bring yourself towards the right side of the track. Your first braking point is just after the 100 meter board. So here's the 100 meter board. You're going to brake just after you pass it. So in a moment you'll see exactly where I start to brake, which is right here. Use nearly all of your braking power for a brief moment. Go down to 4th gear and turn in at the 50 meter board. Start to ease off of the brakes as you're turning in, so doing a bit of trail braking. And as you hit the apex, you want to quickly get back on the throttle and then bring yourself towards the left side of the track. Now you're going to turn in right around here, so this is before passing the barrier that is on the right. And as you get closer towards the right side of the track, that's where you start to ease off of the throttle, and you're going to eventually make your way down to 4th gear. Be careful about going too far to the left, because that's going to add a lot of track distance, and that will cost you quite a bit of time. And as you start to point towards the hills, that is where you want to get back on the throttle. And be careful about getting back on the throttle too early, because that can mean that you'll end up going wide into the sand and you'll lose some time that way. Now bring yourself towards the right, brake before the 50 meter board, use all of your braking power, and make your way down to 3rd gear. You're going to turn in just as you're about to reach the 20 meter board that is on the right, and you're going to see me start to ease off of the brakes as I'm turning in, so doing quite a bit of trail braking down to 3rd gear. Get on the throttle as I'm about to hit the apex, and I'm trying to keep up with my momentum. And just as a curb on the right is about to start, that is where you start to turn in, and shortly after the curb on the right starts, that is where you lift off of the throttle so the car can turn in a bit more. And before the curb on the right ends, that is where you start to use a little bit of your braking power, so around 25% of your braking power. That way you're slowing down a little bit, but you still maintain the ability to go through these turns. And you want to try to get the car pointing downhill as soon as you can, so you can quickly get back on the throttle and not risk going off of the track. Yeah, right there, I was cutting it pretty close. Bring yourself towards the right and brake before the curb on the right ends, and you're going to turn in just after that curb on the right ends. And do note that I'm not dipping down into the sand, because I don't feel comfortable doing that with the 4C, so yeah, I don't dip down into the sand. Make sure you go down to 3rd gear as you're turning in, so easing off the brakes, doing a bit of trail braking, and you can graze this curb on the left. Just make sure you don't hit it, because if you hit the curb, that can cause the car to bounce around, and that can get it pretty unsettled. And yeah, you're going to want to be a little brave there, using the entire width of the track. Luckily, this part is flat out until we reach the very last turn. Bring yourself towards the right side of the track, hang out here for a while, then bring yourself towards the left right about here. Look for the 150 meter board, as that is where you start to ease off the throttle. Use a tiny bit of your braking power so you can start to slow down but still be able to turn. You can see me just using just a little bit of my braking power. I want to keep this car turning, and As you pass the 20-meter board on the left, that is where you can start to get back on the throttle. Do note that I'm taking this turn a little narrow compared to my Ghost. I prefer being where the Ghost is at, because if you take this turn a little narrow, it is still possible to make this turn, but it gets pretty risky, because here I was cutting it really close. I just barely dipped onto the dirt, and I got the best case scenario because it only cost me a little bit of time. Could have been a lot worse. But now let's go ahead and go through the chase cam perspective again, but this time I am not going to stop the video. So brake just after the 100-meter board, down to 4th gear, get on the throttle as soon as I hit the apex, and then for turn number 2, just as I'm turning in, I can start to ease off my throttle. Try not to bring myself too far to the left, as that would just cost me a bit of time. And just being really careful right here. Really easy to get onto the sand if you get on the throttle a bit too early. Brake before the 50-meter board, down to 3rd gear. A little aggressive on the throttle right here. Then use a little bit of your braking powers to slow down, but still maintain the ability to turn. Brake before the curb on the right ends, down to 3rd gear. And just be really careful getting back on the throttle without hitting those curbs, as even these curbs on the right can unsettle the car a bit. This upcoming right turn can be taken flat out, but eventually you're going to make your way towards the left side of the track and gonna start to use just a little bit of your braking power and start turning in before the 150-meter board right here. A little bit of your braking power, and then carefully get back on the throttle, and getting pretty lucky right there, because that could have ended really badly. But let's go through this one more time, but this time I'll be in bumper cam, so let's go ahead and get this started. So one more time, brake just after the 100-meter board, go down to 4th gear. As soon as you're hitting the apex, go ahead and get back on the throttle. And as you're turning in for turn number 2, you can start to ease off of the throttle to let the car turn in a bit more. Be careful about going too wide on this turn, as it's just going to cost you a lot of time. And just be nice and careful getting back on the throttle so you don't hit the sand. Brake before the 50-meter board, down to 3rd gear, being a little aggressive on the throttle here to try to maintain my momentum. And you can stay on 3rd gear for this turn, just being really careful with your throttle input. Brake before the curb on the right ends, down to 3rd gear, and just be really careful with those curves on the left, as they can unsettle your car if you hit them too hard. You can graze those curves, but just don't hit them. This next right turn can be taken flat out, but for the final turn, which is just up ahead, you want to bring yourself towards the left. And finally, brake before the 150-meter board by using just a little bit of your braking power. You're trying to maintain your momentum, but still trying to maintain the ability to make this turn, as it's really easy to end up in the sand. Luckily, I was really lucky and just barely grazed it. But with this, I was able to get a 117.1. Hopefully this lap kit helps you out, and if you like this video, you can press the like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. But before I go, it has been quite a bit of a time coming, because just recently we finally hit the 23,000 subscriber mark, and I just want to take a quick moment to thank you guys for the support. It hasn't been the easiest time over the past I think it's like 1.5 years, but yeah, we still made it to the 23k subs, and I just want to take the time to say thank you guys for the support. But that's going to be all from me. Take care, everyone. This is Mr. CA, the world's most okay player, and I'll see you in the next video.